Scotland and Australia, folks, 27 points to 13. I've much belatedly watched this one this morning over here in New Zealand. As you may have noticed if you've seen the other videos recently, there's been a bit of sickness going around my household. So I opted to get myself a good rest. My daughter is home from school today, still resting up. But yeah, I went into this one still completely oblivious of the result. I haven't looked on YouTube or Twitter or any social medias. They haven't even checked the news because I don't want to know the result, and I'm glad I didn't because this game at halftime was still very much in the balance. But yeah, apologies for the delay in getting this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed the game if you watched it. We'll go through some of the belated kind of key events and stats and whatnot, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. But ultimately, 4 tries to 1. Pretty good win for the Scottish lads. I feel like the Aussies will be a bit disappointed with how they defended at times. They missed some pretty key one-on-one tackles, which was an area of strength for the Scottish lads. The guys like Duhan and Darcy Graham, were able to bust a few too many tackles from an Aussie point of view. The Scottish line-out defence was fantastic. Their maul defence was fantastic. The Aussie scrum certainly got on top, but they weren't able to kind of convert those penalties into points. So yeah, they only scored the 1 try, the Wallabies, which was kind of a consolation at the end. But yeah, as I said, we'll go through the game. You guys can let us know your thoughts. I haven't seen England or Japan yet either. I plan to watch that after this one. Kind of a weird first half. Only the 10 points scored, like I mentioned. The Aussies had a heap of territory in possession, but only could get 3 points out of it, which I felt like was a pretty good win for the Scots. Because, yeah, they were just putting them under the pump that the Scottish boys held. The Aussies did concede a couple of penalties. The Scottish attack looked to open them up, and Russell ended up putting a dinking kick through, but it went dead. But there was a little bit of a kind of hint there that they are going to go for the jugular, the Scots, in this game, even though they didn't get it early. And the game was fiery. Really quite fiery, especially Sione Tuipulotu, I guess because he literally knows a lot of these lads from his time in Australia. I swear the microphone picked up him and Tom Wright kind of swearing at each other. I effing know you, I know you too. Something like that. So, yeah, they were very fiery. There was a little bit of handbags in this game. Scotland took their own shot at a goal on, how many minutes was it? It was after the Aussie penalty. And after the Aussies had been marched 10, to be fair. That penalty hit the post, and I don't know if they showed this in the highlights. I haven't watched the highlights. Like I mentioned, I'm not game to go on any social media in case they get spoiled to the other results. But penalty hits the post, comes off it, and Harry Wilson, the Aussie number 8, catches it and has the genius thoughts to mark the thing. Otherwise, he's going to be under all kinds of pressure from these Scottish kick chasers. So, genius move from him to mark it from hitting the post, and then he hoofs it along with his big left boot. And it's a pretty decent kick. It's highlight worthy. I hope it is in the highlights. If not, it should have been because it was a great play. Heads up play from the Aussie captain. That being said, he couldn't stop the first try, which did come through that man, Sione Tuipulotu, like I mentioned, the captain for the Scottish boys, and it's a line-out play, long over the top. Sione Tuipulotu hits the ball at pace, and a couple of missed tackles, man. Ikitau and Kellaway need to do better from that one. He's a hard man to stop, Tuipulotu, but you need to do better. 7 points to 3, Scotland in the lead. They won't relinquish that lead for the rest of the game, man. They're going to take control. Suaalii is still great from those restarts, and Scotland are a team who particularly struggle with restart receipts after conceding points. They were able to grab themselves a nice restart from one of his tap backs, which gave them a chance to attack the Scottish in their own territory. Scotland conceded a penalty, but then, as I mentioned, the maul and line-out just kept getting shut down. It was Gilchrist who shut down that maul when the Aussies went for touch, but it happened multiple times throughout this game. Aussies just couldn't convert on those chances. Scotland went 17 faces down the other end. Skelton was able to win a penalty on his side. So neither side really able to get on top, but sadly for Suaalii, he had to go off with a wrist injury after a big shot on Tuipulotu, which again caused more fiery comments between the lads. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah, there's a bit of feeling. Man, my neighbour's been blowing leaves for about the last hour. Don't know if you can hear that, but she's not a fan of leaves, apparently. So yeah, halftime score 7-3. Not much in it. Both sides, the Aussie scrum, as I mentioned, has been pretty good, but other aspects of the set piece, not so much. Scottish restarts. They even, from the bloody initial kick of the game, it was an awful kick from Lolesio. Scotland should have just left it, but they ended up playing it, and it almost cost them. But hey, it's a little bit of a scrappy first half, but defensively relatively solid. Second half started with Scotland not opting for 3 points when the Aussies conceded a penalty, which seemed to be against what the message had come on from the Water Boys. But hey, they went for a line-out. It wasn't straight. So the next time they got a penalty, they did opt for it to make it 10-3. Although Scotland being Scotland, they conceded a penalty from the restart when the Aussie lads flooded the breakdown when Kinghorn had taken the kick. So they gave away a penalty themselves. 10 points to 6. So penalty erases penalty. However, I reckon there's a kind of turning point in this game. Like, both sides have missed chances. Kinghorn had one fingertip ball out wide that he just couldn't quite take. Aussie had won a scrum penalty, which then from the resulting attack and play, they knocked it on. I think it was Wilson. But there's a moment which I thought is first TMO call of the game. Ben White runs straight into Tom Wright as he's dinking it over the top of him. Scottish halfback, line break, dinks it over the top. Tom Wright blocking him. Just standing. He's allowed to stand. As long as he doesn't change his line to deliberately block him. Kind of braces a wee bit because there's the dude about to barrel into him. And the crowd hated that. The crowd was baying for blood. And then the TMO comes in. Ref looks at it and goes like, why, he just holds his line. He's not changing his line. And I thought the call was fair. But that seemed to fire up both the crowd and the Scottish team. As I said, I thought the call was fair. Tom Wright can't just disappear, and if you expect him not to kind of instinctively brace as someone is about to clatter into you, I don't know what you're supposed to do. He didn't like go into him with a shoulder, I thought. But that seemed to fire things up because the Scots scored not long later. It was a proper Scottish rugby try of recent times with both ways. Both wingers getting their hands on the ball. Duhan is able to finish it off out left, so 17 points to 6. And then there was a couple of bit of helter-skelter moments where Scotland were attacking. Valentini hoofed through a lost ball. Jorgensen chased it. Australia probably should have scored from that one, but couldn't get it done because McDermott cross-kicked it and Tuipulotu stopped it. But Bayliss went through the next try about 10 minutes later in the corner. And again, it's missed tackles from Australia. Graham gets rid of Callaway, I think, who's just missed, was it Jones? Yeah, it's a kind of double missed tackle from the Wallabies boys, and then pops it out wide to Bayliss, who's come on to replace. Who did he replace? Did you replace Darge or Fagerson? Either way, he's come on and he scores not long later. So great introduction to him over in the right corner. Nice pop from Darcy Graham for that final ball. So 22-6, it's pretty much looking like game over. And then it is game over when they get their fourth try. Russell's able to finish it. Duhan van der Merwe through the middle. You got Jones and Kinghorn all getting their hands on the ball. Both tries they got misconversions, which keeps the scoreline, I don't want to say tight, but yeah, it's not as emphatic as it could be. They've not got 30 points on the board, but yeah, it's 27-6. So it's game over. They did get a consolation try, the Wallabies boys, 5 minutes from time. Harry Potter. I never want to use that kind of magic joke, but the way he got the ball down before his feet went into touch was a proper bit of magic. I looked at it first time, real time, was like, nah. His feet have definitely kind of rolled into touch. He's chasing that kick through. George Horn is chasing it as well. Potter beats him to it, kind of, or at least he grabs the ball. But it looks like he's not been able to get it down on the ground before his feet have rolled over and gone into the dead ball line, but somehow, just barely, he did it. They looked at it for bloody ages, but they came to the right call that he had got it down. 27-13 with the conversion from Donaldson. Australia did chase right to the death, another consolation, but could not get it done. The Scottish defence held. So that was pretty much the story of the day, man. Like, the tackle numbers for this game are pretty similar. 129 tackles by Scotland, 125 by Australia, but tackle percent is 90 to 79. Like, 90 is class, test quality. 79 is ass. Anything below, like even 85, is getting towards the low side. If you're in the 70s, it's kind of bad. Missed 34 tackles, the Wallabies. Too many, 14 by Scotland. So for me, that's the big deal breaker. Obviously, the line-out was kind of bad as well. Clean breaks 9-2 also highlights just how extra sharp the Scottish attack was. Possession and territory numbers, there's nothing between them. Penalties conceded is a little bit high by both sides, 12-14, with the Aussies having a couple more, but no cards in this game. kick count's relatively low, but I mean, you look at these key performers. Kinghorn, 89 metres. Graham, 60 metres. Duan van der Merwe, 57 metres. Duan had 10 defenders beaten. Graham had 7. Like, Harry Potter was the best guy for the Aussies with 39 metres and 3 defenders beaten. So, just didn't have that same kind of X-factor play. Tizano made 16 tackles. Kind of correctly predicted he would be the Aussie top tackler. That's what he does. Richie had 13 tackles and 1-2 turnovers for the Scots. But, yeah, there we go. It is not quite the end of the season yet for the Aussies. They got one more game against the Irish next week. That is it for the Scots. This was an important win, I feel like, for the Scots, because the Aussies came into this one kind of red hot. There's potential rugby world ranking spots on the line. But nah, at home, they managed to get the job done. Is it emphatic? 4 tries to 1's pretty good. Pretty good. But like I mentioned, I think it's their defence which is maybe not going to get the same plaudits as those attacking outside backs they got. But that's where I think the game was won. You guys let us know your thoughts. I'm off to watch England and Japan and look after my daughter. But you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.